Thank you, Chair. Just following Ms. Bradford's question, are you saying that revealing names in the NCCOP report would be a criminal offence?
Any name in the NCCOP report that is classified, that was revealed by an individual who had access to that information through proper means, security clearances, etc., would be committing a violation of the Security Offences Act.
Okay, thank you. Now, of course, the government can change security classification of names. There's a difference between changing classification, revealing classified information. But I take your point that for a person who had access to classified information, revealing that information would be an offence. What about a case where a person might imply a name? Perhaps if a person said that after reading report, they think a certain named person should not be allowed to join or remain in a particular caucus. Would that implied reference to a name be a criminal offence?
It's something that would be reviewed to determine whether or not there's an offence that's there. But it really depends on the circumstances and the detailed circumstances of how the person learned of that name.
Okay, let's say a person had received security clearance, has read the report, and then they say, you know what, after reading the report, I don't think person X should be allowed to be in caucus Y. Is that a criminal offense?
So again, that depends on where that individual did it and the classification of that name.
Suppose this individual has received security classification, security clearance to receive this information, and then they say in public, in front of a microphone, having read the report, I don't think person X should be allowed in caucus Y. Would that be a criminal offense, a violation of the Secrets Act?
Again, that would be something that we would have to look into to determine.
Okay, because there is a CBC story published on June 14th that says, after reading an unredacted report from one of Canada's intelligence oversight bodies, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says he now thinks that independent MP Han Dong shouldn't be allowed back into the Liberal caucus. So I will share that information with you for your consideration. I believe very much in the importance of adherence to the rule of law, of course. Now, we have an extraordinary situation before us today. I think you'll agree it's extraordinary. We've got senior RCMP leadership before a parliamentary committee in a context where concerns about NDP-Liberal government corruption have brought us to the point of having multiple different criminal investigations involving federal government corruption, multiple instances involving ArriveCAN contractors, as well as other investigations. Could you just help us go through and itemize all the investigations that are ongoing involving the federal government or relationships between the federal government and external contractors?
That is not something that I have the information that I'm able to provide to you today. You're asking for a very broad number of things in that question that I don't have access to that information. And it would, in the context you're asking is about active investigations, it is not something that we would respond even if I had that information.
Okay, it's interesting that you said it's very broad, and maybe that's illustrative of the problem, right? I mean, I'm asking you just to identify all the investigations that you as the RCMP are currently conducting involving government corruption or corrupt relationships between contractors and governments, and you've told me that they're too broad a list. It's too big a list to share. Just on ArriveCAN then, if you could walk through the various investigations involving ArriveCAN and ArriveCAN contractors. So you said there's the main investigation that started kind of post Auditor General's report. There's another investigation involving the same contractors. How many different RCMP investigations are ongoing that involve this core group of suspect contractors?
Clarification, I didn't say in the initial part of your question, I did not say that the list was too broad. I said the question was too broad. With respect to the number of investigations specific to ArriveCAN.
Sorry, I don't think the question is that. I'm just asking how many police investigations are there into government corruption? There would have been a time when it would probably have been easy to say there are none, but we're living in this different reality with the current government. So, how many investigations are currently ongoing involving government corruption? That seems like a pretty clear, straightforward question. Just how many are there? And
I think, Mr. Chair, it would be it would be jumping to the fact with regards to corruption. We are currently investigating several files that are looking at the procurement process. That could lead to an element of corruption, but at this point in time, I'm not saying that we're anywhere close to that. And again, I don't want to get into any details of.
You haven't laid charges yet, right? But there are investigations into it, right?
There's, as I mentioned earlier, there's numerous investigations, and with investigations, you can open up the criminal code. There's a variety of offense there that can be applied when we're dealing with an investigation. And again, I will let the investigation continue its pace, and any evidence that brings us forward to a criminal accusation, we will act accordingly.
Thank you very much.